Hey guys, it's Tamara Rose Blodgett. Really glad to be here. Yes, I will be getting a mic soon. I know that my voice doesn't travel very well. I've been told that it's sort of melodic and low to a certain degree, so people can't hear me as well as they'd like. And I like to have a little bit less of that real close-up in the phone frame look if I can. I wanted you guys to notice my merch shirt. Hope it happens. Comment below and let me know if you guys understand what that means. One of my daughter-in-laws thought it was a little subtle, but it's right in line with my humor, guys. It's right in line with it. So I want to get right into it. I just wanted to do a really quick ADF, alternate day fasting video to let you guys know what's happening. And I've only been doing it for about 2 weeks. And it's been heavy experimentation. I have put on about 15 pounds. I want to take it off. But at the same time, I'm driven by the weight of the fact that my thyroid is not correct. The number is way too high, and thyroid is, of course, all of this stuff is hormonal, guys. And I don't mean like menopause or whatever. It's just that this is thyroid hormone. You know, I'm not producing enough. And I believe that some kind of a mineral deficiency at this stage. And I have an iodine video if you guys are interested in looking at that to see what my thoughts are on micronutrients. I didn't used to think that they were that important. I was really concentrating on the macros, and now I realize that it's not just what you eat, but it's in large portion what you eat. But if you're out of balance, your body doesn't run as efficiently as it can. Just imagine giving a body that needs ultra premium gasoline, just regular. And some bodies can get by and function well on regular gasoline. Hubs is a good example of that. He really can. He can just get by. He functions at a high degree of efficiency for his body on regular gasoline, if he needs to. I try to take regular gasoline one day and I chug and sputter and start and stop. It shows up. For instance, I thought, hey, you know, I'm eating every other day. I'll have cream on the days that I feed, and I won't have cream on the days that I fast, because I am fat fasting. And I'll go into that in a second. I'll touch on it because I have other videos that explore that in depth, okay? Well, I went ahead and started that, and the instant I did, my skin started getting stupid again, you know, blotchy with dry patches and things like that, and the ear that tends to be eczema friendly started diving in that direction again. And that's the only thing I've changed. So the cream's gonna be out again because I don't wanna deal with this and I don't wanna deal with that. It obviously says something internal is going on in my system that doesn't like the cream. Now I am using cream down in Mazatlan, Mexico, which is where we live part of the year. 6 months every year we live down here. And my thought process is that they must have a process within making the ultra pasteurized cream that my body doesn't like. It's said so in very clear terms by a physical manifestation of issues. What's going on right now with the cream is that it has 14 ingredients, so I decided to abstain from that, okay? Now, getting down to the bottom line, what am I losing? Is it possible to cheat the fasting system? I believe it is. I don't exercise profusely, guys. I do a really intense buttocks workout like every other day, okay? And some days I miss, but usually not. I walk when I have to because I've got an errand to run, or my girlfriend guilts me into it that lives next door because she's much more athletic than myself. That's when I walk, you know, that's when I do that. I am starting to slowly get back into X3. If I have time after this video, I'll do a few exercises on that. But I'm not keen on cardio unless it's sprinting. And there's a guy I follow, Sean O'Mara, who does sprinting and studies visceral fat, which is the most toxic kind of fat we can have. And he's linked its reduction and eventual resolution through sprinting, which I like way better than any kind of walking or running or anything. Though I do believe as human beings, we need sun, light, and exercise and motion and fresh air and such. You know, I'm not saying be a sloth. I'm just saying that I'm mainly a sloth. That's the backstory, so you understand that if someone like myself can lose weight, who's not doing a lot of movement, that has a very sedentary life and so forth and so on, certainly anybody else could. Plus, I'm an older woman in menopause, finally. So what's my secret? My secret is fat. Now, I've been rereading the obesity code, and that outlines very clearly the effect insulin has on our weight or weight gain or loss. It's hormonal, guys. It's not starving. It's not calorie reduction, move more, eat less. None of that is sustainable. We can't be hungry forever and not knowing where our next meal is and not constantly dream about food, because we need to eat to live. But historically, our ancestors didn't get to have a meal every day. They had to look for game. They had to hunt. They had to gather, and they didn't always get to eat every day. We would not have survived as a species if we then had to be weak and lethargic and not thinking and having hypoglycemia and having no food while we didn't hit the game thoroughfare for 2 days in a row. We needed to be able to fast and push through that without thinking about food or worrying about food. We needed to get the food, and that wasn't always possible every day. You guys know that. That's logical, okay? So we're evolved to fast, all right? Now, I don't want to move my insulin needle. What I just recently reread and then actually took in and assimilated was that cream, as a handy example, will not move my glucose needle. I know that for a fact because I've taken cream in my coffee, loads and buckets of it a couple years ago, gotten my glucose fasted, and it popped up at 77. But it still raised my insulin, okay? I don't want to raise my insulin. I want to be very biohacky and deliberate on that one. So I want to have foods that raise my insulin the least, and those are animal fats, okay? We have macros that we need in order to survive, and that is protein and fat. Vegetable oils don't count. They're man-made and they're crummy, and the body knows the difference. You're going to have a sputter and start on that one. An eventual toxicity quotient where there's a toxic drop going in your body's bucket every day, and it'll fill up eventually. It won't do that with butter. I just did a TikTok video where I showed my new frother, where I put butter in the bottom and then some coffee, and after a couple of seconds it heats up, and then I froth it up with this little $10 miracle tool that's the exact tool for the job, and it froths the coffee, and then I add it to the top and I froth it, just a couple of spurts, bursts of frothing, and it makes me a buttercino. And some guy came in and he goes, well, butter's been debunked. And I'm like, by whom? Dolt? No. Anyway, I said thank you for a comment because, I'm unfailingly polite, but he doesn't follow me here on YouTube, guys. So I felt safe to just go, thank you for your comment. And then I did the shrugging emoticon. I was like, what? Because butter can't be debunked. It's a wonderful source of fats, and it doesn't have any of the stuff that can make your body get pissed off, for the most part. And if it does get pissed off, get ghee. Okay, it's clarified butter. All right, if there's some, 0.5% of casein or something like that in the butter that you object to, your body objects to, because we're not in charge of our physiology, guys. We're only in charge of our intellect, and some people are that bothered by the casein and some of the proteins involved still in the butter at less than 0.5%. I mean, it's really minimal, but some people are very sensitive. So use ghee if you're gonna freak out on that. Anyway, that's my hack. I wanna be less hungry during my fasting window, and so usually I don't even get a bit of hunger because I use this butter protocol until between 2 and 3 in the afternoon, okay? Depending on what I had on my feed day, which I'll touch on that as well. But I can lose, and I have, 1.5 pounds at a go if I have the right foods on my feed day, and then coupled with my fasting day just being butter and coffee. If I'm really struggling, I can make a pot of decaf coffee at 3 in the afternoon. I can add butter to that as well. I've had 2 sticks of butter at a go, guys, on my fasting day. And because I'm not moving the insulin needle, my body does not see it as food. Yet I'm getting fueled enough so I'm not hungry. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but I'm always working the different angles. Yes, I could clean fast. I have clean fasted. Smarter, not harder. I would prefer to be less hungry and support my thyroid because it desperately needs high fat every day. That one thing I know. I am doing better on a very high fat regimen. Now, what is that? 200 grams plus every day. And my protein's more moderate. I might get like 120, 150 grams on my feed day, but if you average that out over the whole week, we're really looking in the 70s and 80s, which is kind of where I would want to be if I were to eat each day and, eat food, right? And so I want to touch on that. So if you guys are fat adapted, or you're looking to become fat adapted, or you eat ketogenic or carnivore or low carb, high fat, tune in, because this is a way for you guys to lose weight without suffering too much. And it's very simple. I cut up my sticks of butter and I put them on a bread plate and I throw them in the fridge. And then every time I have coffee, I cut them up. And so I take 3 tablespoon-like chunks and chuck them in the bottom of my coffee. Then I put some hot coffee over the top of them that's very fresh, sometimes when it's brewing, and I let it sit there to kind of melt a little bit so it's easier for my little frother tool. And I come in there and I froth that stuff up. I don't really like it stirred as much. I've had the difference now. I prefer it blended in a big blender. But think about the cleaning on that, guys. I hate cleaning the blender every day. I mean, I don't have to, but I don't know what I'll give myself. So I feel like I must, by responsibility. I have to do that, right? So that's your takeaway from this video, is that you can lose weight. I've lost between 1 pound and 1.5 pounds at an ADF go, having 2 sticks of butter on my fasting day. It's absolute proof in the pudding, guys. I'm fat adapted, bolster my thyroid by giving it sufficient fat every single day. That's why I kind of stumbled into this protocol. I'd played with it before, but not on this level. I had cream and stuff, and now we found out, that I can't tolerate cream, at least down here. I can experiment with it a little bit up north because we have a creamery in the Pacific Northwest where I live, way up north by Canada. And it's a creamery that sells like raw, unpasteurized cream and milk. And I'm gonna give it one more go and just grab the raw, unpasteurized cream and see if I have any of this stuff going on. Is my body reacting to the cream, or is it reacting to the process in which the cream was made? I want to determine that because I'm just that sort. I'm just that determined. Anyhow, so I'm doing that, but I want to just touch on my feed days. When I do ADF, I always feel like I have more latitude to kind of go off the pure animal-based, carny beaten path. And so what I'll do sometimes is I'll have, I don't have anything processed for starters. I don't have gluten or sugar, so those things are out. And I don't have nightshades because I just can't have that stuff. If I have sugar, gluten, or nightshades, I wake up feeling like I've been in a battle. My ligaments hurt, my joints hurt. It's a guaranteed thing. My face will have sores on it from the nightshades. I can't, you guys, okay? But for instance, yesterday I tried fruit, and Hub's got a bunch of fresh fruit at the Mercado, and he and I cut up the fruit together. It took us about 20 minutes. We had a big bowl of it, and we had huge mounds of it. And then I had a low carb pumpkin muffin. And he used full sugars in that one. And I am trying to get away from that. But he does that like every 3-4 months now. He's not really into the cooking mode very much. He's super burnout from the house building. He doesn't really want to do anything, and I don't blame him. So he's been kind of lazing around compared to how he usually is, and doing things only when he has to, which is great because in a couple months we'll be back in the States and he'll have to hit the house with whatever hasn't finished, starting with the solar augment, right? Lots to do there. I'll go into that next video shortly about our house build and having a house down in Muslim, but that's another video. We'll see what I weigh in tomorrow. Did the fruit, with giving me so much more carbohydrate, even though it's a natural carbohydrate, did it hinder my weight loss? Because what I did that day, I had a half of avocado, I had the fruit, I had scrambled eggs with meat and a little bit of cheese in them. And then I wasn't hungry for like 8 hours. And even then I wasn't that hungry. I had more fruit, and then I had about a cup of ground beef with salt and butter in it. And that's all I had, okay? But it was still upwards of almost 3,000 calories. It's kind of what I loosely figure. I know you guys, you calorie lovers are gonna appreciate that. You know that I absolutely do this with calories. I don't care because I've had huge amounts of calories, and if it's the right food, it does not matter. I will not gain. My normal amount to eat is 2,400 and 2,500 calories. That's not what caused me to gain weight. It was the 3,500, 3,000 calories. It was the fat at 280 grams or whatever. So I needed to find a set point where I could then lose, and I just don't want to think about it. So I've gone back to fasting as a remedy. But I want to tell you about a week ago, I was at the Irish's house, and I went crazy on the nuts because I like nuts. They're kind of my kryptonite. If they're sitting around, peanuts or cashews, I have a real problem not just gorging on like a whole cup of them. And I did not lose. So I had a really good day, 2,700 calories of really good foods, you know, steak and eggs and good things that Hubs had cooked, because now we have a beefer-like finisher called a Bighorn, and it makes all our steaks taste terrific all the time. I mean, I highly recommend that. We had all that, but then I went to the Irish's house for drinks and dice, and we played our games, had our cocktails and stuff, and I always have, you know, tequila or something, so that has been proven out not to make me gain weight either, and that's another video. I had tons of nuts, you guys, tons. And then I fasted the next day, and then the day afterwards, I'd actually put on 0.2. So I was like, okay, nuts don't work. That 3,500 calorie spree with nuts being the 1,000 extra I had didn't work out at all. So I have to say that your feed day does matter. Stay away from carbohydrates if you can, especially ones where there's a lot of bang for the buck, like sugary desserts, soft drinks, breads, nuts in excess. I mean, you could have a small little handful, you know, 10 macadamia nuts or something. I had a cup at least. I mean, I went out off the rails, guys. I thought, oh, I'm fasting the next day, it'll be okay. No, it's not. ADF is not a license to absolutely gorge on feed day. It's a license to have some flexibility on the feed day if you stay within the parameters of what you know is good for your body, whole foods only, and on the lower carbohydrate end. Then the next day you fast. And if you're like me and you want to be less hungry, you fat fast, because then you don't even deal with hunger till 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I think that's ideal. And then, you know, the hunger's like this. It's a burst of hunger. It's, for me, less than a minute. And I just go, oh, I'll be fine. I have some sparkling water, like a Topo Chico, Perrier for you guys, whatever you want to drink there. And it goes away. And it's just mind over matter. I want something bad enough for it to matter, to be long term. It's health, and now it's a little bit weight loss too, because I'm just tired of it, you know, and I just want to not have that. Go ahead and subscribe, guys, and like this video and share it with anybody you think might like it, because I've got important messages to impart, and I love sharing my journey with you guys, and maybe my biohacks for losing weight in a sustainable way make sense. Anyhow, love you guys. Talk to you soon.